Patty Craze, and I wanted to share with you one of my favorite vegan breakfast recipes today for French toast. But you might be wondering, if you're vegan, how do you make French toast? And that's kind of what I thought, because I used to just be vegetarian and it was easy to make French toast because you could use eggs and milk and Greek yogurt and all that kind of stuff. But when I woke up, I don't know, a year ago or something, and my husband said, we should be vegan. I said, vegan? Why do we have to do that? Well, and he spilled off a whole bunch of health reasons for doing that and environmental reasons and other things. But, it is kind of amazing to think that, just cancer alone is the #2 killer in the U.S. and like 1,500 people die every day of cancer, yet 50% of it is preventable just because if you changed your diet, you wouldn't get cancer or it wouldn't progress. And I thought, oh my gosh. And there's studies out that show that vegan diet is the most protective for cancer. So I thought, well, okay, I'm going to give it a try and I'm going to learn how to do vegan cooking for my breakfast foods. So I just want to show you some of the products I use now to make French toast. So this is the ingredient list that I've got. So we're going to start with, we've got oat milk, cashews, aquafaba, and I'll explain what that is, maple syrup, salt, orange juice, and then some bread for French toast. So to start with, oat milk. This is oat milk, and you might not even have this at home, and you're probably going to have to find this in a specialty store like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, or Sprouts. I would think you would get it in any of those 3 stores. I don't know if your regular grocery store is going to carry it, but it's actually kind of a sweeter tasting milk than just soy milk. So anytime I'm doing a baked good recipe, anything sweet tasting, I use the oat milk because I really think it's the best. And I learned that because my Bible for everything vegan has been this America's Test Kitchen Vegan for Everybody. And it had an amazing explanation of Aquafaba and all the different milks and when to use them. And boy, I just have fabulous selection of recipes in there. So I really have enjoyed that book. But so what I do is, in this case, 1/2 cup of oat milk. And then what I've done is I've got the cashews already soaking here in the blender. And this is a Vitamix blender, and it's a real powerful type of a blender. So it's been really useful whether you want to grind grains into flour or, just blend something that's really difficult or tough like nuts. The Vitamix is going to do the job great. So anyhow, the first step was to soak 1/2 cup of oat milk and the cashew pieces. That's 1/4 cup of cashews plus 2 tablespoons of cashews. So we keep the cashews really handy. We keep them in the freezer because that way they don't go rancid. It just helps preserve them so much better. So that's how I started with that. Then aquafaba, I want to explain what that is. What that is just a fancy word for the water that comes from canned beans. And they explain in this everyday vegan book that really the best aquafaba is going to be coming from garbanzo beans, just because it's more of a clear liquid and it's better for maybe all your recipes and things, doesn't impart a flavor that you wouldn't want. And so what they say to do, you open your can, you drain it, and so you're going to keep the beans for some other recipe, but you've poured in, you've got the aquafaba, say the aquafaba in your bowl, and then they say take a whisk and whisk it all up. And so that's what I'm going to do. I guess that explains, why you're supposed to whisk it. It's to activate the proteins, wake it up. I don't know. Anyway, so that's what you're going to do there. And add that into the pitcher for the mixer. So I've now got a few ingredients in there. And then all I need to add is a tablespoon of maple syrup. So that'll be my sweetener. So that's gonna go in, no problem. And a pinch of salt, and wherever I can, I use light salt, because just why not cut down a little bit on the sodium. Pinch isn't really very, ooh, that's a lot more than a pinch. Okay, there's about a pinch. Pinch of salt. And 1/4 cup of orange juice. Now, that's kind of a non-traditional ingredient in French toast, but I love it. It was a long time ago. There was a Martha Stewart recipe that I found for French toast, and she used orange juice in it, and it's delicious. Now, normally we rarely have actual, fresh orange juice that we purchase. So normally I would be taking an orange, cutting it in half, squeezing out the juice and pouring it in, and that's how I would be getting the orange juice, but we just happen to have this. And so it's 1/4 cup, and I'm just gonna measure it out right there, pour in the orange juice. And the other interesting ingredient that really adds a lot of flavor is the zest of the orange. Now, what I do is I use a rasp, and I simply take the orange, and I'm just going over it kind of lightly, because you don't want to include the white pithy part of the orange underneath. You just want the zest, the orange zest part. So there we go. Now I already did it, so I've got about the zest of 1 orange, and you probably, if they're small like this, you probably want the zest of 2 oranges, I would say, would be good. And I just knock off the zest and put that right into, oops, I need a scraping tool. Okay, I really like these silicone scrapers, so I'll just put that in. That's just perfect. All right. Now I'm going to blend up completed blending the batter for the French toast, and it's very smooth looking, and you can just let it stand for a little bit. It doesn't have to stand a long time. But I wanted to mention something else about the Aquafaba. We keep ours in the freezer. So what we do is you'd open the can, you'd pour it through the strainer so you have just the liquid. You whisk it up, and then you pour it into ice cube trays. And by doing that, then we put it in the freezer and then pop it out of the ice cube trays and keep it in a Ziploc bag, frozen. They look like lemon juice, but it's not, it's Aquafaba. And that way, it will keep so much longer. If you just simply took the liquid Aquafaba and stored it in the refrigerator, it would last about a week. But this way, it lasts a very long time. I'm not sure how long, but whenever you need it, you pull out the ice cube tray or the little ice cube chunks from the bag, and you can put it in the microwave. And I needed a 1/2 cup of Aquafaba for this recipe, so I microwaved it for maybe 2.5 minutes on 50% power. You don't want to cook it. You just want to get it to melt and become the right consistency. Then pour the liquid in a bowl and whisk it up. So then it's ready to go for your recipe. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the French toast pieces, the bread, I'm going to lay them out in a dish so that I can soak them in the batter. So here we go. Do that. I'm going to pour the batter on and flip them around a little bit and get the batter thoroughly on all sides of the bread. gonna let them soak up this batter for a little while, maybe a few minutes, just to make sure they're really ready to go. And while they're soaking in the pan, right here, I've got a griddle on the stovetop that's heating up. I've brushed it with a little bit of canola oil, and I'm gonna wait until it's hot, and I'll know that because I'll sprinkle on some water, and when it sizzles, then I know I'm ready to start with the cooking process. It looks like the griddle is ready to go, and I know because I'm sprinkling on a little bit of water. When it sizzles like that, I know it's hot enough. With a cast iron pan, or it's a cast iron griddle, and this is an electric cooktop, I've got this on pretty low setting, just like level 2, which is kind of a medium low, I would say. And then I have a bridge burner that I've turned on, so that way I can heat the whole side there. So it's ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and lift in the pieces of French toast bread that's ready to be cooked. One. Okay. Now the bread I'm using, normally I use French bread, but when I was at the store, happened to be, where was I, Trader Joe's, and they just didn't have any French bread at the time, so they had this cinnamon bread. It's a richer type of a bread, and it's not vegan because there is a little bit of butter and there's a little bit of powdered milk in their formula, but it looked like the best option for French toast that they had at the time, so I just went ahead and got that for now. But normally I use French bread, and then that would make the whole recipe vegan. So I'm gonna wait a moment and cook this up. So the first side, I flipped it after, a couple minutes, really nicely. I check it, and then it was very nicely browned, and I've now been on this other side for a couple minutes, and let me look. Looks like it's coming along. I'm gonna just double check. Could use a little bit longer, I think. Well, that one, this is an uneven piece of bread, so it's cooking more there, and now it's not cooking as well there, so that piece won't be quite as successful, I don't think. Okay, so as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to just scoot them off the griddle and onto just a half sheet with a rack on top of it, just to let them cool while I get the next batch going. Well, I thought normally this recipe would make 9 slices of bread. This is kind of thick bread, but I'm gonna see. I mean, this will be, when I get the next 3 in, 6, so we might be able to almost get 9 slices. It looks like these 3 are ready to go. I flipped this. It's nice and brown on that side, and it's good on the other side. And so this recipe, because of the size of the bread and how much the bread is absorbed, is going to make a total of 8 slices. And I'm just going to put a teeny bit more oil onto the griddle. And I go for the last couple slices to get ready here. Just put these on. Flip it around. So when I finish, these are going to have a lot of flavor because this is a cinnamon bread, and it's got all the flavor of the orange juice that was in the batter, so it's not going to need a lot of topping. Normally I do a berry topping, and I'll do that in another video, but what I'm going to use is, it's like yogurt, but it's not actually yogurt. It's called coconut milk yogurt alternative. You can find this at, and there's different brands that are out there, but I got this at Sprouts, and you could also probably find it, I'm sure, at Whole Foods. You really can't find this kind of thing. You can find traditional yogurt that's coconut flavored, but that's not vegan. To be vegan, that's why I'm using this. It says coconut milk yogurt alternative. And you won't find it at a regular grocery store typically, at least I haven't. So you're pretty much gonna look at Trader Joe's, Sprouts, or Whole Foods for a product like this. But then I think it's gonna be delicious when we're all ready to go here. Now I did get a 9th piece done, and what I did was there was a little bit of batter left in the pan, and so I just added some oat milk directly in to just give it enough liquid to coat the last piece. So that way I'm going to actually get 9 pieces of the French toast. So one final thing to mention is if you have a Vitamix blender, the way you clean it after the pitcher is all dirty is you just simply fill it with water and then a little bit of dish soap, put the lid on, and then just turn it on, and this is how it's going to clean it. And that's going to be all clean. I'll just rinse it out in the sink. Then for the final French toast, again, I'm just going to put a little bit of the coconut alternative yogurt. This is vanilla flavored, so it's a little bit sweet. And that'll give me a little bit of sauce on the top, like that. Just spread some on. And then, you know, I'm going to drizzle with a little bit of pure maple syrup, because that would be an excellent flavor on the cinnamon and maple. And let me take a bite of that. See what we've got here. Delicious flavors. I highly recommend this. This is the vegan version of the French toast recipe with aquafaba, orange juice, and I use cinnamon bread, and it's delicious. So there you have it. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe.